Hey guys, I want to give you a quick intro to a new tool that we're going to be releasing this summer that we're calling the Tuva DAG Viewer. Now, really all Tuva DAG Viewer is it's an interactive data lineage graph tool that's specifically designed to help you explore and understand how Tuva transforms raw claims data and clinical data into analytics ready tables, how the logic throughout the project works. And there's lots of DAG Viewer or tool, other types of graph tools out there. This isn't a tool to build your own. This is a tool specifically designed to explore the Tuva model through. And on the one hand, you could say, a DAG viewer or graph viewer or, a data model viewer, essentially, like, that's not that. How important is that really? Well, the reason that we've found this to be so important, and I'll just show you how it works, is the whole Tuva project is literally thousands of data transformations, and this is SQL code that lives in files, and those files are executed in the proper order using dbt. And if I want to understand how any given part of the project works, I can go into the project and, like, if I wanted to understand how the ED classification data mart worked, I could go look at the code in the project. But then I'd have to be kind of looking at the SQL and being like, okay, which code, which file do we execute first? This model feeds this model feeds this model, and then I'd have to go look at the SQL code and try and decipher it. And be like, okay, what is this model actually doing? And so DAG viewers just bring all those different pieces together, so it's easy to explore. It's kind of the most efficient way to understand what's going on. So to stick with ED classification, I can click this and I can drill into the ED classification data mart. And what's that's going to do is that's going to filter to just the nodes in the DAG that are relevant for this data mart. And so this is actually a fairly simple data mart. We've cleaned it up over time. It's got these two input tables, the encounter table and the patient table. And I can see these are both coming from the core data model. And then it's got a couple intermediate transformation tables here. That's the gray nodes. It's got a couple value set tables that these are seed files that feed into the nodes. And then it's got this one summary table. And what I can do is I can click in to any of these nodes and I can learn what's actually happening in that node. So first of all, when I click in, I get this transformation description. This is just an English language description of what the logic within this node is doing, right? So this model reads emergency department encounters from core encounter, and it keeps only encounter ID, primary diagnosis code type. It joins to this seed file, and it outputs, some stuff. Now, I could probably have figured that out relatively easily from looking at this code, but it would have been a little more work. This particular example is fairly straightforward, so it's not that big of a deal to read the code. But there's a lot of models in Tuva that just happen to be a lot more complicated than this. And in those cases, having this English language transformation description just to get you grounded in what the thing is supposed to be doing is pretty important. I can also look at the data dictionary, right? This is right here too. And so doing this, I can quickly understand how a data mart is being designed. I can also just click on any seed file or code set that's being used as a value set in a particular part of the project. I can see, these are actually the values that are being used here. And so we've been developing DAG Viewer and using it internally for a few months now. Even though we understand the project super well, when we're having conversations about improving this data mart or this claims pre-processing step, often those conversations would get stuck in, wait, how is this thing actually working again? And this is an amazing tool. We can just look at it together and we can say, oh yeah, this is actually how it's working. And it would be better if we combined these two nodes into one and simplified it like this. So it's been an excellent tool for that. And we think that, internally we're using a ton of AI to develop, but some tool like DAG Viewer is absolutely critical for transparently understanding when AI develops code. Is it like, how does the code work? And is it working like we intend it to work? And so we think, even now, but even more in the future, will having this like transparent, clear understanding of how things work really be necessary to increase trust, not just in the Tuva project, but any data transformation project. So that's a quick intro to DAG Viewer, and we'll be releasing DAG Viewer later this summer.